Congregational friends and family, this is Audra Bailey, your church moderator, and today I want to give you just a brief update on some things that have been happening at our church over the past few months as we move forward into the Advent season. So first and foremost, some exciting news in regards to our interim pastor search. So council about a month ago appointed an interview team that consisted of myself, Russ Armstrong, Christy Bailey, Josh Dyer, Desiree Grace, and Kim Fuller. And we have been meeting quite frequently to get the process going. Kathy Laws recommended 4 candidates for us to choose from, and we actually chose 2 and interviewed both of those candidates last week. We have offered the position to one person, of course, and we are waiting to hear back from them on whether or not they will accept our call. So we are hopeful that that candidate can start soon, as they actually live in the Quad City area already. So keep posted for news as we move forward. All right, I also wanted to talk about just some specific information in regards to the pandemic. So at our church currently, when and if you were to attend worship service for serving in worship, or you needed to attend a meeting, or just even dropping by to maybe drop something off, masks are required while in the building. So please have a mask with you. There are some extra ones also in the church office if you happen to forget one. Social distancing is enforced, so 6 feet in between individuals. Mike DeToy has done a fabulous job of keeping our church building clean and safe for all of us currently. And as you might already be aware, our church has allowed for small groups of 10 people or less in the building at this time. I cannot stress enough how important it is to call ahead before coming to the church building, just to give the ladies in the office a heads up that you will be there. Also, this helps with scheduling. So if your small group would like to meet in the church building, of course, run that through the office first before coming to the church. Now, things have changed in the past 48 hours since I've made this presentation a little bit. So as of Friday, this past Friday, Illinois has gone into their Tier 3 mitigation plan. And in that plan, it states that all employees who can work remotely should work remotely. Therefore, our office staff will be working from home as much as possible, with the common day of Thursday being when they will all be together to prepare materials for worship and other communications. Pastor Michael will still be at the church most days, so if you do call the church, most likely you will get him. Mike DeToy will still also be in the church building during the week. And because the Tier 3 plan does allow for groups of 10 people or less to still meet, we are still making that an option for members of the church. However, many of the groups have decided to safely decline and not be at church for their meetings, and instead meeting through Zoom. So that's always a possibility as well. We do actually have a plan for reopening. We just haven't been able to safely put it in place yet, just due to the rising cases in our area. But I did want to run through this with you all so that when the time does come, you know that we are ready and we have a plan in place. First off, council discusses every month, and basically every meeting, which is almost more than once a month, that we need to consider reopening for multiple reasons. But of course, the safety of our members is of the utmost importance. So we do discuss this every time we meet, and we just haven't felt at this point so far that it has been safe enough for us to reopen. If and when that does happen, our next step would be considered our step 2. So right now we're in our step 1 plan, which is 10 people or less. Our step 2 would be 50 people or less. And a few weeks ago, Russ Armstrong and Wes Llewellyn and myself, we came to the church, and we actually have already started staging the church for your safety. So there will be specific entrances and walkways that you will use to come into the church. We've blocked off every other pew. Of course, there's going to still be social distancing. There will be limited restroom use during this time. And you'll also find that when you do come into the church building that some things are missing. So we will, of course, be letting you know ahead of time to bring, your Bible if you would prefer to read scripture out of the Bible rather than the bulletin. And any like pens, anything that you might want to bring so that you feel comfortable and prepared for worship. We will still be offering bulletins, and they will be placed in the pews before worship starts. And unfortunately, just due to trying to keep everybody safe and hands-on, not as many things as usual, we will not be having any of the worship bags for children. So families will want to bring some things for their kiddos to do during service if they wish to. So our current worship structure, as many of you know, is through the internet. And right now we have two options for joining in with worship services on Sunday mornings. We have our FCC live stream, which can be found on Facebook or YouTube. And when you do watch those services, you'll notice that there are only 10 people or less in the service participating. You can actually view these services live on Sunday mornings at 10, or you can view them later. Now, if you have tuned into any of these worship services within the past month or so, you have noticed we have had some internet issues with our service provider, MediaCom. Today's Sunday, ended up being really, really good. But we just never know what is going to be thrown at us. So if you are concerned about the buffering and whatnot, you might want to wait a couple days and view it as it's re-recorded, or as it's replayed from the recording on Sunday, because then you won't see any of those blips and it'll be a nice smooth service. Additionally, you can join us in the church parking lot. If you feel like you want to get up on Sunday morning and go to church physically, well, our church parking lot might be just the place for you. Make yourself some coffee, come in your pajamas if you want, nobody will see you, and you can tune your radio to 107.3 from the church parking lot and listen to the service. Also, if you do that, communion is actually served out in the parking lot on the first Sunday of the month. So I wanted to also talk about today how our church is resilient and how we are moving forward and how things are still happening with our church. And remember, the church is not just the building, it's the people. So for Christian education, I want to give kudos to Becca and her team for working through some difficult decisions here in the past few months. But as you can see, we are still having Sunday school. Things have changed in the past 48 hours, as I mentioned, but prior to Tier 3, we had an in-person and virtual option for Sunday school happening on Sunday mornings at 9. And as you can see on that picture on the left, that little computer right there actually has some kiddos join it in to participate with their classmates that are in person. And youth group has also been happening, and they've had a couple outdoor activities to stay connected. But now, with things being shut down a little bit more, we're taking the virtual route again for confirmation, for youth group, for Sunday school. So look for that information coming forward. Outreach and mission. This past spring and summer and early fall, our harvest was plentiful in our gardens, so thank you to our garden crew for maintaining that throughout the season. We have a good relationship with World Relief, and we have made a good donation to them in regards to our vegetables and everything that came out of our garden this season. We did still hold the food pantry, the mobile food pantry, as you can see in the top picture there. It looked a little different this year just for taking safety precautions, but it did happen, and they are always grateful for us to host. And currently, Miss Sarah Wynn is doing some excellent work with our essentials baskets. As you know, around Thanksgiving time, this is when we're focusing on that as well, and it is still happening. Building and Finance has done a marvelous job the past 8 months or so. They've had so much to work on, so they deserve some words on this slide. In regards to our building, when you come back, you will notice that the parking lot and sidewalk have had some improvements made to them. They've been working on lawn care, weeding, making sure that the grounds still look good, even though we don't have a lot of people in the building. And they're currently planning for snow removal. They're in talks with a couple different companies about replacing the heating system, getting bids on that. And we have finally finalized the stained glass window restoration. I believe those last two windows are still being restored right now, but they should be in place soon, and we are then done with that project, the Let Light Shine project. So finance-wise, back at our annual meeting this past February, it was brought to our attention that there might need to be some specific attention made toward our endowment and how we are investing those monies. So endowment review committee was formed, and they have been meeting since, I believe, June to kind of look into what might be the best fit and what firm we should go with. So that has been taking place. And also the B&F committee has been in talks with Red Wagon just how to maintain their financial relationship with that organization. All right, and then spiritual engagement. Bible study is still happening every Wednesday. They actually meet through conference calls. So if you are interested in joining that, please let Pastor Michael know. Maureen has done a fabulous job of bringing in some special music on Sunday mornings to keep us, I don't want to say entertained, but yes, entertained, because it has been wonderful. So thank you to Maureen for that. And the Spiritual Engagement Committee right now is currently planning ahead for Advent, which brings me to Advent. So our plans are to still, of course, have our Sunday worship services. They will be live streamed through Advent, Facebook, and YouTube. Becca has lined up some families to help us light the Advent wreath, which is always a special moment on our Advent Sundays. Our bell choir will be playing on the fourth Sunday of Advent on December 20th, and look forward to some more special music from our guest musicians. In regards to Christmas Eve, in order to make this worship service very special, as it always is, it will be pre-recorded so we can be sure to include more people than just the 10 people capacity right now. So it will be pre-recorded and will include some of your favorite church musicians and other special guests. All right, moving on to stewardship. So we have just completed our stewardship drive headed up by Pastor Michael. Thank you to Pastor Michael for that. Opening doors to faith. We are still continuing to collect our pledge cards and time and talent surveys. Please, if you still have that, maybe laying on your desk at home, please go ahead and send that into the church. It helps us, of course, with budget discussions here. The council meets always the second Tuesday of every month. So it's nice to have those things in order before we meet. And also with the time and talent surveys, that lets us know how when we can reach out to you to see if you would like to participate in certain events and special groups that meet within the church. So please consider turning your card in as soon as possible in your time and talent survey as well. All right, how to stay up to date. So there are many ways to stay up to date on what's been going on in the church. First off, the website. Amber Moore in the office maintains our website and does a fabulous job. If you don't already know, there are council summaries of every council meeting on the webpage, and I would encourage you to go look for those today. And they actually go all the way back to April. We started putting them on there in April so that you guys know what is being discussed, how we're moving forward, what we're planning. So please look for those. Also on the website, you can find links to FCC Live, so that YouTube link and that Facebook link. For our virtual Sunday school, you can find that link there, and as well as the church calendar. Now, you might also be getting lots of emails from us because, well, there's still lots going on, even though the building is somewhat closed. So the Tower articles include current events and important announcements, and I believe this is going to be pushed out in a Tower article that you will receive. You can also call the church office. As I mentioned before, Pastor Michael will be there for the next couple weeks as we are still in Tier 3. But once we open back up a little bit more and Jennifer and Amber will be there daily, they're happy to take your calls. And of course, you can always text, email, call me. I will have my information up at the very end of this presentation. All right, I want to publicly thank the following individuals. First of all, our church leadership, council, all of the different boards and committees. We have had so many meetings. They've been through Zoom mostly, but we have worked so hard. All of you have done such a fabulous job of coming together, brainstorming, and working through this difficult time. To Amber, and to Jennifer and to Sarah, thank you for your hard work on a daily basis to keep our church going. Becca Peterson, for your creativity in trying to figure out ways to keep our children of the church and families of the church engaged. Maureen, Mason, and Gail, for the wonderful music that has been coming through my computer speakers every Sunday morning. Thank you. Mike DeToy, for, again, keeping us nice and safe at church when we do come into the building. Pastor Michael. Pastor Michael has hung on here through this crazy time, and we could not be where we are today without you. So thank you, Pastor Michael. And thank you all, members and friends of the church, for sticking with us. It's been a difficult time, that's for sure. We don't know what's to come. Your patience, your prayers are much appreciated as we move forward into the unknown. All right, as I promised, if you have any questions, concerns, comments, please feel free to contact me. My phone number is right there, my email address. Call, text anytime, and I will get in touch with you as soon as I can. Again, thank you all. Please pray for our church, pray for our church leadership, pray for our potential new pastor and Pastor Michael, again, as we go into Advent and work through things during this pandemic and difficult time. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you.